Throughout his novel Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Twain attempts to describe people with enough detail that the reader is able to get a proper mental image of each character. Apparently, he decided that his descriptions were not doing the characters justice, though, as he decided to employ an illustrator. That illustrator was E.W. Kemble, a political cartoonist. Kemble was a gifted artist. He was able to give each character a personality through subtle visual effects. Even minor characters, such as Colonel Saul Grangerford, were brought to life by Kemble's drawings. His illustrations in Adventures of Huckleberry Finn fit Twain's descriptions perfectly. They allow the reader to more easily see what Twain wanted them to see. In this picture of Huck Finn, the main character in the novel, Kemble displays the carefree attitude that Twain was trying to portray through his writing. Notice the smile on his face as he sneaks into his room in the Widow Douglas's house. Most people would at least have a look of concentration, or maybe even worry, when attempting a similar task. But by making him smile, Kemble shows the reader that Huck is not really worried about getting caught after sneaking out. It also shows that he gets some sort of satisfaction out of doing adventuresome things, a characteristic Twain tried to explain through Huck's obsession with acting like his crazy friend Tom Sawyer. Here we have another picture of Huck. Once again, Kemble has put a smile on the boy's face, displaying a happy attitude while Huck is hunting a pig to eat. The illustration makes the reader see Huck as the country boy that he is. Twain wanted to show the reader that Huck is most comfortable when he is outdoors. Also, by making Huck's pants too big for the boy and putting a dingy-looking hat on his head, Kemble is able to show the reader how Huck did not pay any attention to his appearance, and would rather wear loose, comfortable clothing than starched shirts and dress pants, a quality Twain attempts to portray throughout the novel. A third example of Kemble's Huck shows the boy relaxing in his canoe as he floats down the Mississippi River. This picture is a perfect depiction of Huck's character. The way the boy is looking up at the sky and smoking his pipe provides a perfect visual representation of what Twain set out to accomplish through his writing. It shows an easygoing mindset and a love for the outdoors, which are qualities that Twain wanted the reader to see in Huck. Kemble's depictions of Jim, the runaway slave that travels with Huck throughout the novel, show today's reader how Twain's original audience saw the African American characters in their mind's eye. Here, Jim is listening to a hairball that he believes can predict the future. This example displays how superstitious Jim was, and also how uneducated he was. Twain's attempts to display these characteristics throughout the novel are supported by illustrations such as this one. Here we see Jim as he would have looked every day that he spent on Miss Watson's property as a slave. Twain wanted the reader to see Jim as a slave, and through this portrait, Kemble is able to display exactly how poor a slave would have looked. The patches in his pants, along with the missing suspender and the worn-down old hat, show that Jim has literally never received new clothing. Also, the look on Jim's face is a confused and apprehensive expression, which goes along with Twain's emphasis on how uneducated Jim was. In yet another illustration of Jim, Huck is waking the fugitive slave up because he has heard that there are people looking for him on the island. The expression on Jim's face in this situation is once again perfectly aligned with the character's personality. Jim is scared and anxious all the time in the book. His eyes are wide even though he was just sound asleep, and his mouth is agape, creating a terrified expression that goes along with the fear for his life that Twain wanted the reader to see. Twain characterized Jim not only as superstitious but also as gentle. In this illustration, Jim is pleading with what he believes to be the ghost of Huck Finn since he thought the boy had been killed. The fact that he is on his knees begging for his life from a little boy shows that Jim was scared and also harmless. He would never strike out against Huck, even if he knew he was real. Jim was docile and soft-hearted throughout the novel, and Kemble is able to display these traits throughout his work. Finally, we come to Pap. In the novel, Twain wrote about Huck's father as a drunkard, and in this pitiful scene, Kemble has adeptly shown how bad Pap's alcoholism really was. His arm is broken from the fall from the window, his flask has spilled on the ground, and he is passed out. The drawing does what Twain's writing was unable to do by showing the reader just how pathetic the man is. This final drawing is Kemble's best illustration when it comes to making the reader have an emotional response to his art. Twain wanted the reader to view the father figure with contempt, and this picture forces them to. In this scene, Pap is tricking an old couple into believing that he has found faith in the Lord and that he will never get drunk again. He is dressed in fine clothes borrowed from the nice old man and appears to be satisfied from the recent meal the other two had just provided him. Through the combination of Twain's writing and Kemble's illustrating, the reader begins to truly detest Pap. This combination has the same effect, no matter what the situation is, throughout the entire novel. In conclusion, we can see through these examples that Kemble's art is able to bolster Twain's writing in a way that had never been seen before Adventures of Huckleberry Finn was published.